Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I know there's a lot of crazy things that were going on, especially weather-wise. Yesterday, most of the New York airport was shut down. They weren't letting any flights out really. It was a 4 or 5 hour delay. But throughout all that, you gotta kind of like it. We're in the warm weather season right now. We're enjoying it. That also being said, one of the things with warm weather is people are out and about. We always have to wait for those days where those huge chaos storms happen, and those are usually awesome sales days. But as of right now, you're gonna find out today when we go through the numbers. It's kind of a steady time. We're hitting our kind of our summer run rate. So that being said as well, so let's take a look at what we're going to go through today. We're talking about closing, how to do an effective close. Now, one of the things I know us as salespeople get really excited over is at the very end, you get your adrenaline running, we're up there and we're pumped, and you want to be that guy who has that biggest bat and hit the client as hard as you can over the head and make them buy. Shockingly, there's a lot of better ways to do closing than just beating up the customer. Kind of a bit of it would be things like working with, like the O.B. Smith quote right here, confidence and enthusiasm. So as he said, confidence and enthusiasm are the greatest sales producers in any kind of economy. We know things are going to change. I'm not talking about the economy itself, just our industry. With our commander-in-chief right now, he is making changes to our industry literally every week. That's good for us as agents. Why? Because there's confusion and people need us to go through it. As long as we walk through with smile, confidence, and enthusiasm, we should be having hopefully the best year of our life. So happy Motivation Monday, everybody. And if this is your first Motivation Monday, this is kind of what we go through. We go through a tip of the week, then we take a look at what our trends are. From there, we're going to jump into who our sales leaders are and then take a look at the sales technique. Now, last week, our tip of the week was going through CBL, or Colorado Bankers Life. Just letting you know a little bit about it. It's a great critical illness product. They have a lot of great benefits that go along with it. And as I said, my biggest one that I really like on there is terminal illness at 100%. So, with our clients, one of the things that if you've been in the industry a while, you're gonna have a client who gets diagnosed with something and unfortunately the CI product doesn't work for them. CBL decided to kind of wrap that up and just give them terminal illness at 100%. So if you are looking to sell that critical illness policy, Colorado Bankers Life is the one that I know I highly recommend. Now, if you're new to critical illness, you may want to start with that National General one because we do write a lot in National General. It's on the same quoting engine. They do go through the 15 different critical illnesses. Now, once you get comfortable with that, it's kind of like you get to move on to the huge adult product there and go with Colorado Bankers Life. Tip of the week for this week is actually VBA. Now, things I want to talk about with VBA is, first off, it is at AHCPsales.com under the General Agent Center. It is a great AME and AD&D, very inexpensive, and it has a very low AME deductible, which is one of the things that I like about it. If you take a look there at option 1, which is only about $30 a month, it's a $50 deductible with $2,500 max out of pocket. For the AD&D and $2,000 for the AME. Think about that, $2,000, they only have to pay $50 and it's only for $30 a month. Now, if your client does have a little more wiggle room there, you can move them up to the $5,000. That is one of my personal favorites, is option 2 and 3. Option 3, if they do have major med. Option 2, if they're working through a short term with me. And then I would add on that the $100 deductible down there, which is part of the product. And then for $5 more, you can jump into the family for the option 2. My sweet spot, option 2, I recommend taking a look. Now, if you are not up and going with General Agent Center, you can go through and call agency services there with the number at the top. Jumping into our trends, what is going on with us? So no change in short-term medical. And with the fixed benefit, we did have an increase in sales, leading there with good old VBA. No change in our accident sales, leading with Golden Rule. No change in critical illness. We did move over from NatGen to CBL in a week. And then an increase in dental there with Golden Rule. Overall, not a bad sales week, just not a lot of change going on. It's kind of what we expect right now in July. Who our sales leaders are, let's give a quick shout out there. So in gold, we have Dustin Pearson. In silver, we have Andrew Orlikoff. And in third, we have Elaine. All of them with VBA, might I add. And let's do a sales shout out there for our limited benefit. So with gold, we do have Katya, as always, leading there with National General. Robert Swander sitting there in second there, leading with VBA. And then Andrew Orlikoff in third, leading with National General yet again. Now, if this is one of your first Motivation Mondays, our goal is to get you off the phone in 15 to 30 minutes and for you to walk away with at least one more piece of information. If you can learn one thing in 15 minutes, this is well worth your time. So let's go through. We went through our tip of the week, which was there looking at good old VBA. We took a look at our trends, which are, we're in July. As we have found out the last few years, July is just kind of the month where we just run steady. And then of course our sales shout outs there. Katya taking gold as usual. So one of the things we have talked about, we've been going through a sales process, an effective sales process for the last few weeks. And there's 4 different sections in every sales process. So the first one is always the introduction, which I know we talked about. And if you have not watched the introduction, there's a really good video there on our AHCP sales website or the AHCP YouTube channel. You can find them in either way. I do the YouTube channel just because it's easier. And in an introduction there, it's just the introduction, why you're calling, the WIFM, and then what your process is. One of the things we talked about, again, is that we do tell our clients the process throughout the whole thing. And some people like to disagree and say, you know what, I don't want to tell my clients the process. I want to spring it on them. I want to be that big sales jaguar and just take them down, kind of like the one that got loose there in the zoo. No, but a good thing is to tell the people the process, because what they're going to do is they're going to take away their fear of the unknown. Us as humans, we want to know what's going on, and especially when we're talking to somebody who is potentially selling us. You tell them what's going on, they're going to be able to actually concentrate, relax a bit, and work through your process easier. You'd be shocked just going through telling them, hey, this is what I'm going to do. It's going to kind of just ease their mind, saying, you know what I'll do is I'm going to go through, ask you a few questions about your current insurance situation and kind of what you want out of a plan. From there, we'll go through and we're going to actually customize a bundle there for you. At any time we need to make any adjustments, we absolutely can. But as long as you like what you hear, we're going to go ahead and get you applied for that today. What you just said to them in your introduction is, hey, I'm going to do some fact finding. From there, I'm going to jump into a planned presentation. And hey, if something doesn't work, let's just grab it. We're going to make that change. And then at the end, we will go through a close, which is what we're going to talk about now. Then you jump into your fact finding. We went through that there are 5 things clients that you need to ask to be able to figure out what plans the clients want. First off, what's their insurance situation right now? Second is, why are they calling? Always an important one. If you can't figure out what made them pick up the phone, it's going to be really hard to close them, because what they're doing then is they're just calling for quotes. And if somebody beats you by $1, they're going to go with that person, right? The consumption, what we mean by consumption is how they're going to use it. Jump into their budget, because again, if you have the best insurance at your fingertips, you could make them literally the best insurance plans they've ever seen. But if they're not affordable, it's not worth their time. And then of course, start date, right? When do we actually need this to start? So with these 2, the introduction and the fact finding, keep in mind, we are asking open-ended questions. We want to sit there and have the client talk to us. We want them to tell us stories so we can tell them stories later on. So open-ended questions, you can always say, oh, tell me a little bit more about that, or how did this work? Things that they cannot answer yes or no to. And then in the presentation, we go through, and we did hit last week the 7 things you need to tell your client about to increase your retention. Again, if you haven't seen that, jump on to the AHCP YouTube channel and take a look at that. In a presentation, there are strong things. You're going to go through your recommendation that makes you a professional, your benefit usage, which are the 7 things, tying in the ancillary or supplement products so they can see how they're actually used. And then the end, which is the yes to benefits and the price, which is really part of your close. Now in presentations, you want to get yeses, right? That old Zig Ziglar thing. If they say yes all the way through, the yes at the end is the easiest. So let's jump into the close, which is also going to be closed-ended questions. So the close is really a few things. First off, it is an assumptive sales process. That's what we've been going through. People say, you know what, the close always makes me kind of nervous because I'm worried I'm going to get the objections. Well, if you go through your other parts properly, you should have already vetted your objections. Because if they go through and they give you a budget and the budget is completely unrealistic, you talk about it. Or if you go through how the plan is going to be used and they say, I go to the doctor literally every week. I need a policy that's going to pay for me every week and I do not have a qualifying life event. That's where you can vet that objection. If they go through and they have a child who has extreme usage and again, they don't have a QLE and you have to put them on a short term, this is where you can go and talk about that. That is all during your fact finding and your presentation. Your objections should be coming out in those 2 steps so you don't deal with them at the end. right? If you want to figure out their budget, you want to figure out their start date, you want to figure out their usage, because those are the big 3 objections people have. This plan doesn't work for me, this plan is too expensive, or it does not start in time. You've already knocked those out. So what do we mean by assumptive sales process? Is that the easiest part about doing a close is that you just move right into the end, right? You already have that agreement. You should already be very confident about it. You already told them 3 times throughout that, as long as you like what you hear, we're going to go ahead and get you applied for that today. Nothing here should be a surprise to them. So the end here is very important because you have to be very assertive of what you're doing and of the plan you picked. Moving right into the very end and the application, that's okay, right? Trust me, the first few times it's going to be weird. A lot of people sit there and at the end they ask them, would you like to apply for this today? I'm already going to assume that they do, because I went through and I said, hey, this is how it's going to start. This is what it's going to cost. And this is how it's going to work. At any time they could have said, stop, Dan, I don't want to do that. So first off, when you close, what I want to get the yes, and what I do instead of saying, hey, do you want to apply for this today? I say, will these benefits work for you? Or if it's someone who has a family, will these benefits work for you and your family? That is me saying the exact same thing as, do you want to apply for this? It's saying, do these benefits, will they work for you and your family? If I can't get a yes, or if I hear hemming and hawing, I'm not going to move forward. I won't even give them a price of the policy, because if I can't get a yes to the benefits, I missed something. That is your close. Getting a yes to the benefits is going to be your startup to your close, right? So if yes to benefits is honestly your close, because what they're going to say is, I don't know. Okay, what did I miss? What's confusing? What do you think your wife isn't going to understand, just so I can get you the right materials for that? Which is really saying, obviously there's something that you're not getting, but I want to make sure you're aimed for it. If I don't get the yes to benefits, I will stop there. I will go back through everything. I'll have them take out pen and paper and I will explain it. That's the most important part of the process. If I get a yes to benefits, which is obviously my goal, then I'm going to move directly into the price. Okay, great news is this plan comes at $571.56, well under your $600 budget. And our next steps in the process is to complete an application. So what I'm going to need from you now is I'm going to need your middle initial. So what you're doing is you're getting a yes to benefits. You say, great, you give them the price, and then you don't stop. Don't stop and ask if it's okay. You already know it is, right? You already went through and got the yes there to the benefits. You got a yes that you are going to go through the application. You just move right into the application process on that one and let them know what you are going to be doing, what you will need. Now, what I like to do, because I probably am going to have 3 or 4 different carriers up. I have all those applications that I need to go through and get done with them. I'm going to start asking them demographic questions. Good ones would be things like, what's your middle initial? Right? Can you go through and verify your address one more time? Let's go through that spelling of your last name, because that's what's going to appear on your insurance cards. Things like that are needed. Now, as I'm going through, I'm having them go through the demographic questions. I'm filling it out. I have talked with them usually in the beginning saying, most insurance companies are going to require you to have a routing number for the account that you're going to want to use. Why do I not talk as much about credit cards? Well, one of the things with credit cards, people love to put things on them. You get awesome points if your client is responsible. Now, if their client is not, they could get canceled pretty easy. What happens when you move? What happens if you decide to open up a new credit card for more points? Credit cards canceled. One of the reasons that I have to go through and reach out to clients is because, shockingly, small things have happened on their credit cards and they've just gone away and they can't remember everything to update, because let's see, they have to update their Hulu, they have to update their Netflix, pay for their car insurance through it. I'm sure they have to do their electrical, and health insurance is just another thing. One of them is going to get missed, and it could be us. So I like to say, health insurance is usually taken out of a checking or savings account. So we're just going to have to need the account number for what account you're going to want to use. I do have my clients go through, and shockingly, I know a lot of people say this is very uncomfortable. I have them write down the carrier, what is going to show on their checking account, and the price. Nice thing about being brokers is we can work with as many carriers as we want. Why do I have them write it down? Because at the first draft of the following month, when it comes out of their account and there's 3 or 4 different drafts, I'm going to get an angry phone call more than likely, right? Even though you went through it, even though you did explain it, you were very, very clear. I go, okay, John, I understand what you're saying. Remember, this was the whole bundle that we talked about. Let's go take a look at your fridge. I told you to write this down and put on your fridge. Let's take a look. Works every time. Now, that's a pretty easy close. So all you do is get a yes to benefits, give them the price, move into the applications, have them write down what's going to affect their account, and then let them know that you will be following up with them. Okay, let's be honest, it's not always going to work, right? Well, if it doesn't, here's my one thing. Always have a clear direction. Don't be one of those people who's just going to say, yeah, I'm going to follow up with you. No, you needed time, a date, and a reason, and have them repeat it. I don't have the money in my account. I don't get paid till Friday. Great, I completely understand. Let's do this. Friday at 5:30 after you're done with work, I'm going to give you a call and we're going to go through the rest of the application process here. So I give them the time, Friday, the date, which I believe Friday is the 21st there, and the reason, right? You don't have the money. We're going to go back through. Okay, write it down, repeat it back to me. Do you need me to send you a calendar invite? I do it anyway. I will always send them a calendar invite to let them know that I will be calling. Also, you can let them know what the call ID says if it's the exact same thing as what's going on right now. Now, for the clients that you have closed, one of the biggest things is doing effective follow-up. We have a really good follow-up video there on our training section at ahcpsales.com. Why would you actually call a client after you sell them? Some people go, I don't want to. What happens if they don't like the policy? Well, they probably haven't used it. And honestly, when my client uses their policy, I follow up with them as well. You need to follow up because I want to make sure they get their ID cards, their policy packets, and if they need any claim forms or have any questions on that. Right away, most of that stuff arrives within 10 to 14 days. I tell them, I'm going to call you in about 2 weeks. I'm just going to make sure that you got everything that you need. Because if there's an issue, I want them to know, hey, I'm your broker. I'm here to help. You can call me with any questions. Great customer service is going to get me referrals. That's my biggest thing. I want to be the best out there so everybody wants their friends and family to work with me. Again, what do we talk about with referrals? People want to work with people who are knowledgeable, us, who are experts, us again, and in the very end, someone who's fun. That's going to be us for the third time. That's why I do my follow-up. This is honestly, I know they say there's 4 parts to every sales process. Sandler always says that there's a 5th. Follow-up is your 5th. So following up with clients, let them know that you'll be calling. Block off the time on your calendar and do it, and call them every 14 days after. And you can always ask for referrals at the very end of that call. You know, John, I get it. You went through, you had a good experience at the doctor's. Keep in mind, as a broker, referrals are basically the biggest compliment that you could ever give me. So if you do have friends or family who need insurance, please give them my number. It's just gonna make my life easier and your life easier. Then they can make sure to work with somebody who knows what they're doing. So overall, here's a picture of the assumptive sales process, the 4 parts, that introduction with why you're calling, what's in it for them, the process, the fact finding, with those 5 areas that we need to make sure to accomplish, the presentation. And then keep in mind on that presentation video, there are those 7 sections, or those 7 things you need to tell your client. And then in the close, which we're going to assume the sale, move right into it, start that application process after we get that yes to benefits and give them a price. Now, if you want a copy for this or have any questions about it, you can always email us there at training@ahcpsales.com. If you do have any additional questions, also shoot me there. It goes directly to my phone, so I can answer them for you. And let's end with a pretty good quote here. So, proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance. Try to say that 5 times fast on a Monday. But that is the truth. We are going through creating a sales process to have a planned area. So we know what we want to do. How can you get to where you want to be if you don't have a roadmap? That's the most important part. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, email me. If not, we'll get back going next Monday. And everybody, have a great week.